Hello, everyone. Welcome. Great to see you here. Welcome to my city, Frankfurt am Main. Welcome to Talking to Objects. I'm delighted to see many curious and creative minds coming together here tonight, because this evening is about thinking, about feeling, about experiencing together. We are here for a think tank where we can combine our ideas and share our knowledge. It's particularly exciting that we are meeting in a museum, an institution that, if viewed critically, is not exactly known for bringing people together on equal footing. So that's precisely what we aim to do tonight. And I'm really excited that we will kind of try to de-hierarchize knowledge and grow together. Why we come together, it's because of an amazing project. Talking Objects is a fascinating project initiated by Isabel Rabe and Marit Ifeoma-Kupka. It consists of the Talking Objects Lab and the Talking Objects Archive. The lab is an artistic research project focusing on decolonial knowledge systems. It serves as the foundation of the digital archive, which is set to go online in December 2024. The goal is to create a universe of knowledge that brings together diverse voices by giving objects from European and African museums a voice. This think tank is part of a larger program that is taking place here in Frankfurt, started yesterday, going on to July 6th. Here, featuring workshops, performances, and discussions around the themes of material reality, spirituality, and gender-specific objects. It brings together artists, so a warm welcome to our many international artists coming from Kenya, from Senegal. It's very, very amazing that you came here. It's also the Talking Objects project is also organizing think tanks in Dakar and Nairobi to further these discussions and build a global community. So all this wouldn't be possible, of course, with many institutions, organizations supporting this. So I want to give many thanks to the partner organizations, the Federal Government for Culture and the Media, the Federal Foreign Office, the KfW Foundation, the Goethe Institute, the Heinrich Böll Foundation, and of course the Museum Angewandte Kunst, that is our host today. So all of us can applaud for our partners that make this amazing project possible. Also, of course, this project wouldn't be possible without the two faces, the two key figures, initiators and curators, Marit Ifeoma-Kupka and Isabel Rabe. Marit is an art scholar and curator for fashion, body and performance here at the Museum Angewandte Kunst, and I'm hoping that you are as excited as I am to unveil some objects here in your museum or in your workplace. So a warm welcome to Marit, and please, welcome everyone and give us a short introduction. Hi.
Thank you, Aisha. I just decided to speak from where I stand. A warm welcome from me as well. I'm especially delighted to welcome you here. First, as a curator of the Museum Angewandte Kunst, as Aisha just introduced me, and secondly, as co-curator of the Talking Objects Lab. And we've been doing our work for 4 years now, and this is our first open-to-public event in Frankfurt after several events in Dakar, Nairobi, and Berlin. And before we start, I would like to briefly talk about the Talking Objects, who we are and how we came to be here in Frankfurt. And the Talking Objects Lab is a think tank, exhibition and event series, as well as a residency program. We address the decolonization of remembrance and knowledge, the re-evaluation of objects from colonial contexts. We focus on empowerment and opportunities offered by artistic perspectives and pose questions about traditional forms of museum preservation and presentation. We ask which culture, which knowledge, which canon are considered exemplary, which are excluded. What possibilities do we have to recover marginalized knowledge? And these are questions that have so far mainly been asked in the field of ethnological museums, and we are expanding the scope of discourse by also looking at European collections and, above all, reflecting on the contexts of their knowledge production. And in doing so, we are focusing mainly on the objects themselves. The word object is in quotation marks because the items we deal with had a variety of functions in their respective contexts of origin and in their materiality and form, in their use marks, in the sound, smell, memories and stories are stored, and we ask how can we retrieve this knowledge. And we've been addressing these questions for almost 4 years now, as I just said, and as a group of independent project partners from Kenya, Senegal, specifically the Nest Collective from Nairobi, and Malik Ndiaye, director of the Musée Théodore Monod in Dakar, who is also here with us tonight. The results and insights of our research series are continued from event to event. They are constantly evolving and will culminate for the time being in the digital Talking Objects archive, which my project partner Isabel Rabe will talk about now.
Thank you, Marit. Thank you so much. And then also let me introduce you, as I also mentioned, the initiator of this project, Isabel Rabe, a curator and project developer from Berlin. She has curated numerous interdisciplinary international art and cultural projects and is known for her work that deconstructs Western perspectives and traditions. Welcome here to Frankfurt.
So thank you, Aisha, for the introduction. Warm welcome also from my side. I'm very excited what is hidden behind these curtains, because even I don't know, you know, I don't. Yeah, let me briefly just add a few sentences to the Talking Objects archive, which we developed together with African Digital Heritage, and some of you are here tonight, and also Visual Intelligence. I don't know where Danielle is. She's still somewhere here. She's about, yeah, thank you. Eric Stein and our colleagues from Senegal Saint-Louis GAEC, Group d'Action et d'Études Critiques Afrique, who all contribute to the development of this digital archive, which is supposed to be a platform for decolonial knowledge production. What we do is we take the object as a starting point to delve into their, and let's stay with the title, their cosmologies, the universe of plural knowledge. And this is also what we want to do today. And maybe just very briefly, this session is filmed today because everything we do, we speak with the objects today, will hopefully enter in the digital archive. If there's someone here who doesn't want to be filmed, please approach us. We find a way to like position you in a way so that this is going to be fine. Yeah, I'm very curious now to see what's there, and I hand over to you. Thank you.
Yes, we will unveil really shortly, but maybe I want to lose a few sentences about this format. Tonight's event is supposed to be a performative conversation. I know you've already experienced it, one in Dakar, that really set the standard really high. But we will do the Frankfurt version today with objects from Frankfurt that come from this museum, from the archives here. Myself, I will also be seeing these objects for the first time, so we will all unveil them together, which makes this moment even more special and exciting. And then we will just, I don't know, engage with the objects. You can walk around, look at them, tell us, you know, what thoughts come into your mind. We will kind of try to look at the objects one by one, but then we will kind of try maybe to bring them together to see what story they tell us. So I will maybe have some help by unveiling. Let's do that. Okay. Okay.
Maybe this is the moment to also thank Katrin Röttger, conservator and restorer here at Museum Angewandte Kunst, who prepared these objects for us. Thank you. An applause for you, because...
Yes, and conservation is the key word here. That's why you will see these objects on display behind glass, because, yes, they need to be conserved. So we can kind of engage with them by looking at them, walking around. So maybe I want to invite you to stand up, maybe to walk around, but it's, I'm not forcing you. If you feel like you want to look at them from where you are, you can do that, and then let's just see what we find here. Nochmal die ganze Energie.
Belgien.
Ein Leuchter, ja,
Das ist ein Leuchter aus Elfenbein.
Na dann.
Die Elfenbeinfrau, die ihm geschenkt
Wie geil, dass du da bist, aber hey, jetzt kannst du so schnell machen. Nein, wir haben gerade erst angefangen. Also alle gucken sich die Objekte an und dann reden wir darüber.
Aber Samstag moderierst du Samstag auch?
Nee.
Okay. Okay, dann bin ich froh, dass ich heute.
Cool.
Das ist ja bestimmt.
Geil. Ja, damit fangen wir jetzt auch an.
Hey, jetzt gehen wir mal aus dem Weg.
So, genau. Okay, I've been equipped by the museum's team with some information, small information about the objects. We don't want to give too much information because we want you to let it speak to you. But let's start with this pocket receiver, a portable radio that you will see here in the front. The artist is Dieter Rams, born in 1932. The object itself dates from 1962. It's made out of plastic and acrylic glass. Haben wir bitte? Ach, Infos erst später. Was soll ich denn? Okay. Okay, now I gave you a little bit of info. Okay, I'm still learning about this format. So I already gave you some knowledge. I already hierarchized. So just act like you didn't, you don't know anything about this item there. And who wants to start? Who who has some thoughts about this very object, specific object? Maybe you?
Hi.
Please say your name for us.
My name is Jasmine. So first thing that came to my mind after you asked the question was that this radio comes from a time where people maybe didn't have so many sources to get news from or to hear about other places as much, I'm not sure. This radio also looks small, so maybe it's already from a time where people were able to decide where to tune in and where not to. It looks like it, because in the front there is, I don't know what it's called, actually. So in the front there are definitely some numbers and like a red thingy that points to the number and whatever. I imagine you could, with this radio, tune into different frequencies. So you did have a choice of what to listen to, which is something I value nowadays as well. And I believe people did back then too.
Thank you. Who wants to pick up that thought or bring in your own thought? Yes.
Well, as we are, I'm Karina, hello. As we are in a museum here, I suppose this is not a radio, I'm very sorry. It's a moisturing meter for the objects. Yes.
Okay, restoration purposes.
Hello, my name is Michael. My first impression was altogether this is quite a kind of mix and match and almost kitschy arrangement of different styles and types, which is very sort of up to date what we do in the world nowadays. Gives me also some connections to artists like Damien Hirst putting diamantes on a skull and stuff like that. That were the impressions I had doing artistic work myself.
Okay, thank you. I don't know who you were talking about, though. I'm just gonna say it. I'm not that, you know, my art knowledge ended when you mentioned that person.
Yeah, my impression of the whole, leaving out the technical stuff, which I'm closer to the interpretation of a metronom of humidity or what, but I'm not sure. The other three objects, it's kind of femininity on display. Do museums have anything else to display except for? All the three objects have some kind of femininity, and then while we were standing there walking around, about the shoes, we kind of thought this could be David Bowie or Ziggy, I don't know who. Ziggy Stardust, do I know? Wearing it, so to break this idea of femininity. But still I see, and it's kind of disturbing to me, is that all we can see? Or we are shown.
Anyone else? Oh.
Hi. I'm Greta. I kind of thought the same as you. I wasn't disturbed by it exactly because I don't feel that the objects, even if they are about femininity, are too sexualized. Besides the yellow thing that I couldn't quite identify. I'm sorry, I just don't know what it is. But I don't know, the other flower thing arrangement doesn't seem like its only purpose is to display femininity, but also elegance and other things. And the shoes are feminine in some connotations, but I also think that they are a bit extreme for what people consider tame femininity. So nobody would think of it as just feminine, but also it's very stark and, I don't know, draws your eye in a not only cute way. And I think the other object, whatever we agree it is the only one which doesn't really have a design at all in my eyes. So there's no personality to it in my eyes. I'm sorry if I offend people right now.
Thank you.
Hello. Oh, Daniel is my name. I'm going to start with the gray thing because the first thing that came into my mind is that it could not work because it's missing. I thought it was, if it's like electronical, it's missing like a cable, and it's like a missing, because I thought like it's for frequencies maybe. And then I was like, oh, that's my daughter. It's missing also an antenna. For the constellation, the first thing what I thought was interesting is that no object is looking to each other. They all look in a different direction, so they're not really in a. It's like they all don't want to be there, but they forced to because there's this glass wall, so they cannot leave. And then there's a personal thing, because when I saw the shoes, the first thing is that I actually thought about my sister, who passed away. But you know, it's like interesting that everywhere I go, and now she's in Frankfurt, I see a tiny part of her. And like, if you would know her, you would see that this is Dominique's shoes. So yeah, that's a personal thing I thought about.
Thank you so much for sharing something personable in this room. So, anyone else? Okay, here.
She wants to go first. Okay. Sorry. No. It's because I really wanted Adam to talk, because when we arrived, we have to, can we admit something? We saw them before anyone else. Even before the black tissue was there. So we were there, yeah. No, but we were as much and as surprised as we have been now. So Adam and I, we were like, what? And Adam was like, well, I will let Adam talk by himself. Sorry for that. And I was like, looking around, and he was like, I think this is this. And I was like, do you think this is this? I don't think this is that. And I saw, I don't know what, and I made up a complete, story which maybe not sense to anyone here. But I didn't saw like a radio, frequencies, or so on. I thought more about the metromeno, like for, the old thing too, when you start learning about music, that's one of the first things that's said. So, and I don't know, and I was like, I think I'm super bright. And they put this because, this is like rhythm, this is like time, and like they put different objects of different, obviously, times and, moments in art history or anything else. Like, okay, this is like the measuring, sorry for my English, of the time, of the arts and the pieces that are, different, but talking to themselves in like, let's say, time something by for something like that. No, that was my desire. And then Adam is going to talk about his, because I think it's very interesting. So I am seeing, time and rhythm and conversation across time here. That's what it is.
My name is Adam. I have to admit I know the object, the gray object from before, even before today. So I guess I don't know if that's cheating, but it feels like cheating. But I know it's a pocket radio designed by Dieter Rams for the Brown Company. And I know this because I read a lot about the Bauhaus movement, and I know that some alumni of the Bauhaus movement worked with Dieter Rams at Brown initially, and they all live in that school of functionalism. Literally.
I was also surprised.
So yeah, I feel like that's exactly accurate as to what the object is. It's trying to not say anything. It's trying to let its function inform its aesthetic, which I don't think it does because nobody guessed what its function was. But yeah, it's interesting that all the other objects seem to have character or life. But yeah, I like the shoes also because they look like shoes. But then we came from a discussion earlier today and we were wondering, like, is a shoe still a shoe if you can't wear it? Or is this an image of a shoe? Or because it takes the form of a shoe, is it similar to the sculpture? In which would you call that a woman or a sculpture of a woman? Is that a shoe or a sculpture or a form of a shoe? Yeah. And I want to take a guess about the yellow thing. It feels like a household object. It feels like a tool that's used. Somehow the metal piece is used to do something.
You can open it. Like the head is, I think, something you can open.
Yeah.
I would guess that you can open it and maybe something to open. Sorry, I thought it was something you can open and probably the head, the head and the neck is longer than you actually expect, or it actually has the length of the whole element itself, so you can open it and then, I don't know, something's inside. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, should we talk more about this yellow image of a woman? And any guesses? You can do this. I'm scared to reveal things now. Should you need to tell me when? You can decide. Okay. No, you tell me. What should I reveal something? I mean, I revealed the thingy already, right? Yeah. Yes. Okay. So the magic's out for that one.
I have a lot of different comments. So, for example, I found the pocket radio quite interesting because when I was small in the Caribbean, the size of the radio was very important because people listened to cricket, to games, and so the radio had to be small enough to be held at the ears comfortably or beyond the shoulder. So that was like the perfect size of a radio for that function. And I also find this reclining figure interesting because my first kind of glimpse at it, I thought of pom-poms. You know what you call it? The cheerleaders. Yeah, the cheerleaders, pom-poms, yeah. And so it was a kind of strange kind of impression of dynamic and reclining, which was embodied in this object. And the yellow one I see, I have like, I'm uncomfortable with it, having a female form in a kind of household kind of item, yes.
Yeah, it's a bit triggering, feministically speaking. It speaks to me, it's telling me to work, and I want to refuse.
I wanted to ask a question, actually, connected to, I think, 3 things that I heard. One was that the pocket radio doesn't have design. The other one was that it's conversations over time, and then the other one was about the character, the pocket radio not having a character, and I thought of soul, and then I asked myself, and I wanted to share the question for the whole room, which of these pieces I consider the most timeless or actually soulless or soulful. So I wanted to just ask the question. I answered it for myself, but I actually would be curious for someone else.
Does anyone have an answer? Let's go over to this side, maybe. Anyone has, is anything speaking to you? Is anything?
Sorry, my name is Mutanu from Nairobi, Kenya. What caught my eye especially was figurine. I would not want to call it an object. The lady in the rose bush. Kenyans export lots of roses, and roses are like a signifier of love, but also affection, but also care, but also we know that roses are delicate. And also looking at it from a point of view where females are considered delicate. But when I was looking at her, she seems uncomfortable. Yeah. So I was also looking at it from a point of view of is there uncomfortability based on the nudity, or is it based on what we know of rose shrubs, that they are thorny? And what are the intricacies in that the artist is trying to portray? Yeah. So yeah, that's a thing that stood out for me. But also, sorry to the Africans, the first thought I looked at it was that these things are so clean. These things are so clean. Were they bought yesterday? Yeah. And so I get why people would think that the radio, okay, I think I know it's a radio because I saw the things for tuning up there, the knobs for tuning. But I get why they would consider it like a dust or moisture control thing. But then something else that stood out for me was the shoes especially. And I spent a lot of time looking at the shoes because I really wanted to know where they come from. Do they have a label? Who did the shoes? Are they made of glass? Is it leather? I was fortunate enough to just read the last part and see Paris, but not who did the work. And so to the people, you can answer this much later. I'd be interested to hearing what the connection between the objects are, especially the last one. I can see the connection where maybe you are looking at it from a point of femininity because, one, women, but also why this one. Can be time, as Marit said, but I'm interested to hear what they have as like a common denominator.
And maybe we want to bring in that notion of material and the materials we see and what they tell us.
I cannot talk about that, but I also thought about what is the connecting point, the common. And the obvious was the femininity, but then the radio kind of sticks out. So I was like, cannot be. But then I was like, there has to be a function. So from the one I'm listening, from the one, let's say it's a household thing, the other one probably walking. And then again, but then the woman, the rose bush, she sticks out again. So the function is, again, I have to cross it out. I'm still thinking why I'm talking. But I was like, something has to connect them, but maybe it's also the connection can be that nothing connects them. So everything stands for itself. They say something, and they're just like there. Can also be. And then I thought about something, Malik. I think this was you who said it today. It's a signification that we give them. So, and there's also this relational room model from, I forgot the sociologist right now, Martina Löw, who says that depending on from where I look at the space, now the narration changes. So it would be interesting, like, I shared the personal story, so I start with the shoe, and now I can talk about my sister, really, just looking at the four things. I would be interesting now, Mutano, you're going to go and be like, no, the rose bush, you have a totally different story to it. So maybe it's that. But yeah, sorry, we're talking about the material.
Hello, my name is Dennis. I think I'm right here maybe just to ask or to share because everybody is putting so much attention on the shoes, and lately I was watching a documentary. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe correct me. They're coming from the Arabic warriors, that they were hooking on the horse and they could stand up. So actually it was the main shoes, the high heels. And this was a kind of point of interest that the royal people were thinking that it's kind of a powerful statement, and this why came into the fashion. So yeah, maybe I'm wrong, maybe correct me. Sorry.
There's no right, no wrong, thank you. Anyone else?
Okay, material. I was thinking more of how heavy they seem, or like the weight of the objects, or what they contain. And shoes, it's obvious, you can put your feet in them and they can carry you in some way. And I feel like this weird object, the yellow one, is heavy for some reason, even though I don't know what material it's made of, even though, but the metal itself gives it a very heavy look. Thank you. And the same with the rose and the woman. While I feel like the pocket radio contains the most material, since it contains technology, wires probably, and also a lot of thought processes that went into it as well, where I'm not sure how much creativity flows into a pocket radio, since it's technical and creative. Yeah, but I think I'm stuck on the radio where it comes since the beginning. But I also thought it was interesting that they were on the opposite sides, the shoes, which attract so much of our attention, and the pocket radio. And both for me contain, they have, even though the other objects in the middle, from the material, they seem the heaviest, those two for me, they seem like they can carry the most weight.
Hello, my name is Winter, and I wanted to add to the idea that 3 of the items are sort of portraying femininity, and the Bauhaus idea to not convey anything about the maker and just about the functionality, because I think even that shows you a lot about the people who made it and what it's for, and there really isn't an absence of design or ideas in how things are made, especially with something so manufactured. Someone had to decide how the pieces look and fit together, and what's on the inside and what's on the outside. And I also thought of the pocket radio as a sort of extension of what we are doing today, because it's very much a symbol of one-sided dialogue and distributing knowledge and culture. And I think there's something very interesting to how, especially in the early days of the radio, there wasn't a way to get back to the people who were making radio.
Okay, then we will give it. Oh, never mind. I just wanted to say that I had the opposite thought about the yellow thing. That I think it's it's not heavy. No, I think it's probably made of plastic. And I thought it was probably to open wine, that you could take out the neck, and it's like a, yeah, I don't know the English word, I'm sorry. Corkscrew, someone told me just now. But I thought that it's probably very light, and I thought it was probably, besides the radio, the lightest thing of them all. And I wanted to correct myself about the personality of the objects, because I do think that the yellow thing has the least personality. But I do not know if that's just not inherent feminism, because I too have feelings about that. But I think that I also find the radio interesting because what I basically meant was that I would not feel that it's mine if I bought it as much as I would about the shoes. I would not feel that it's my personal thing until I don't know, put something on it, wrote something on it, like my name, or just, I don't know, anything that would signify it as mine, because it's mass manufactured in a way that some of the other objects are not, in my eyes. No, it just feels that way. And feels that the contrast between the objects standing so close to each other, the lady with the roses, I really don't want to call her a statue, and the radio are so opposite to each other for me, because the design is so intricate with the one and so plain with the other. And it seems, I know that radios are more complicated in like the machinery inside than they look outside. That's not the problem. I just feel that the roses are so delicate and someone thought so much about it, in a way.
Hello, my name is Modani and I'm from Nairobi as well. My favorite object, or the one that stood out to me the most, is actually the yellow woman, which is interesting because I've had so many thoughts about her. Immediately I saw it, I thought that maybe the face was a bottle opener, but there's no, it would have a wider mouth if it was a bottle opener, I think. I also think it could be a corkscrew for wine, but also a pepper grinder. So someone said it looks like a household item, and I don't mind that it has I guess the figure of a woman, and it is a household item. So just to give the yellow object some, some love, some credit, because yeah. And I was also in the group trying to see what the radio is. I actually thought it was a metronome. I thought that was the strongest. That was the strongest guess. But it also reminds me of something we saw earlier today that Adam has. Adam has a phone that's a pen. I promise, show them, because they won't believe. And it works, it can take photos. Yeah. And I think it can make calls as well. Yeah.
Wow, we are revealing things here.
Hi, my name is Dilan, and I was wondering, I have the feeling that the statue with the, we call it roses, that I think there is something missing. I think the function is missing, because why are the roses open? There is just like a hole, and there are just like small little, it looks like there could, maybe there was a cable, and I was thinking about maybe it's just for lightning, but there are pieces missing now. Huh? The men are missing, exactly. Yeah, but I'm not sure if there maybe it's already able to create light. I'm not sure because I don't see any clue to electricity.
Yes, another thought to what we just heard from you over there. The statue figure with the roses here in front of me seems to come from a completely different period of time. Actually, a time when there was not really design, there was architecture and there was arts, and it was kind of connecting, and they were working together, but the idea about design developed right after that. And all the other objects I see, they look for me like the 60s, 70s. This is, I really had to think for a moment. This is typically 80s. This is Memphis design. That's what it reminds me of. And this could be something very, very modern, which is a total mix out of everything. That's the way I look at it.
Thank you. Okay, yes. I was thinking that there is a bit of tension in the objects. For example, the shoes, they do have these glass slipper kind of idea, which you associate with the Cinderella story, but they are boots. And so there is this kind of tension between the Cinderella pretty but the practical boots, and although they are not that practical really, and also this yellow object. I mean, it's in a way dressed like a, someone who is maybe dressed for the evening for dinner, but nevertheless it's expected to do real work. Yeah, sort of, and also you have the reclining woman in the midst of thorns, so somehow there's this tension in these objects, yeah. Or even the very simply and, for me, beautifully designed pocket radio, but which is a complicated functioning instrument as well, yeah.
Yeah, I love it that you found some interpretation and meaning putting the objects more or less together for the first time, I guess. I wanted to add, like, looking at it and hearing about all our guesses. Actually, I just wonder, we are only having our guesses on objects which obviously are European. So where's the rest of the world? In the material, maybe. Yeah, thank you. Hidden in the material. And for the boots, I love it, but, and I also love the idea someone said here on the side, that they are all going into different directions and not really sticking together. I like that idea. And they are encaged, they would like maybe to break out and cannot, because the glass holds them in. I like that tension also that's created in there. And we make up our own narratives while we are trying to kind of find some meaning in there.
Interesting. The yellow lady reminds me of my German grandmother so much. She used to love everything that is cute and kind of has a household function. Like even to pick up a cookie, it would have to be like a cookie designed cookie thing, cookie up picker. And the shoes, I must say, I'm gonna bring in maybe I work in the political education sector, so maybe this is why my first association with the shoes, where when I grew up, I always asked my parents to buy me shoes, like new shoes, because I wanted to be, it was really important, you know, to have cool shoes when you were a teenager. And then when I would get new shoes, I would put them on display for days, just looking at them, and just, you know, when I will wear them, they will be so fresh, they will be so crisp, and it kind of reminds me of that.
Thank you. Just a thought, and I mean that sense, the way we are looking at them, I don't know why I have the feeling that we're looking to 4 objects and we're seeing mostly 3. Like for the 2 or 3 last ones, the radio, which I thought it was a metronome, was on, but for the rest it was like 3, no? And because we have the panel of gender object, we are genderizing them mostly, right? That's my feeling. I don't know if it's reality. Like we're all like, yeah, they are feminine or representations of woman or feminism or whatever. And I don't know, yeah, someone say that's comfortable or not. I just see fatigue. The first one, yeah, like, you know, yeah, this vanishing thing of the woman. I mean, we're super tired of that, with the roses and so on, because, you know, like, wow. And then fatigue because the heels. It's super complicated to work on heels. It's super enduring, and it's just like, you know, you have to. And then also fatigue on the yellow one, like that perfection. No, like that being super straight, super perfect, super, you know, like this. If I am getting that feminine side that people, I didn't have that. I was about music and time and so on. But now just like I see, if I see through the, let's say, feminine or gendered glasses, mostly, yeah, like a dialogue in another sense, you know, like, yeah, like how we have been represented, how we should be, you know, and what we have to endure, and how we have to stand to be a proper woman, you know, like what are the expectations of society on us. And I'm very sorry for the radio that I think we have, you know, I don't know, nobody have gendered that. Yeah, it's like neutral. It's welcome the queer radio around us. I don't know. Sorry.
I just had something to say about the radio. 2 years ago, I needed to buy a new phone, and I was very angered that I had to buy a different version of a black rectangle, essentially, because every single phone was a black rectangle. And I just remembered that the designers at Apple were inspired by Dieter Rams, and the initial iPod was inspired by this specific radio. And ultimately, that goes to become the iPhone. So this is the reason that I had to choose between a bunch of different black rectangles. And I've just made that connection right now. And this phone, I think, it came out of a conversation with a friend of mine about who decides the shape of the technologies that we use. And I asked her what her ideal phone looked like, and she said it would be a phone that's also a pen. And I went online and I found this, which is a phone that is also a pen. And yeah, and I like that the Chinese don't have the same, I guess, journey towards technology that I guess the Europeans and the Americans have, which is essentially this. And so they can reimagine the shapes that technology takes.
Very interesting.
Just let me take you back a little to what you said. Maybe the radio is there significantly because it is what women learned how to be women because of what was broadcasted about what femininity looked like. So maybe that's a common denominator. I don't know. Maybe I'm reaching.
I wanted to say something else, but now I'm thinking of the iPod, and you said the word broadcasting, and I just saw a TikTok about the word podcast nowadays, the origins of the word, and that originally it was like the word came together from spreading seeds and I don't know the English word, how to harvest seeds. Thank you. But the other thing I want to say is also that the pocket radio, because I've been noticing more and more, and not complaining, but there's this quote that straight lines are godless, and I've been analyzing European environments more and more, and the architecture and everything. So the radio also, I noticed that before, it's the only object maybe that I would say actually has a straight line in here, and that straight lines maybe maybe the shoe has a little, but it's not really straight like that. It has some curves. But the radio, and it made me just, you brought that thought back by pointing out that in technology, like there are different ways of getting there, and they're not very, like it's not the paradigm that Europe and America is creating, designing things, and we can see it everywhere, I feel like.
Thank you.
So I think the shoes are very interesting because I forgot to mention this, but we see it's made of glass partially, and so it doesn't seem like it's very functional to use them. And they could be just a sculpture of a shoe. And then I thought about it more, and the glass is reflective, so it's a mirror, but it's only really visible as a mirror when it's on a pedestal, or if we are down on the ground, which normally, if somebody was wearing those shoes, we wouldn't really notice probably that the heels reflect. You have to stand in a very specific space, and I think that's extremely interesting, this choice of design of those shoes, that I'm wondering, are they even supposed to be useful, or are they just art? I couldn't tell. They could just be made to stand in this specific spot there and never seen a foot in their life.
I also thought about that it's the only thing that is composed of two things, and I'm not sure why we have both of them. I don't know how to explain, but just to look at the shoes, you wouldn't need both of them. You could just take one and put it there, and we would already have an object. It wouldn't be a pair of shoes, like you would less think about the use of it and more of it as an object by itself. But put together, it looks more useful in some ways. And I also just thought just now that it are probably very judgy shoes because they reflect your shoes. So it's like, look at yourself, or at your choice compared to mine. And I also wanted to say that I also thought that the lady in the roses was probably a lamp at first when I saw it. And how do I explain? I also think now that the shoes are probably what is most modern, and in a weird way, many people are getting back to not vintage, but I think many people are starting to feel overwhelmed by technology. And I'm a student, and I saw a lot of people at university actually going back to phones that are not smartphones. Yeah. No, actually not all of us. And I thought that I also feel overwhelmed by technology. And I watched a documentary about how many people can't even comprehend technology as fast as it's developing, and also about IA or KI, and how much it's like also a bit scary. And I think many people seek like a sense of, I don't know how to explain in English, but a sense of relief in older technology that they can still comprehend. Like you get taught in school and when you do a driver's license how a car works, and you can comprehend it, like the technology of it. And new technology seems so much like you need a degree to even understand a part of it, that some people would rather go back to radios. And I actually still own my old CD player, and sometimes when I feel very stressed, I still like it better than my phone.
That's great. Isabel?
So I'm a child of the 80s, so I'm born in the 70s, in the early 70s. So let's look at it through this lens. And this radio thing definitely reminded me, talking about older technologies, of my first Walkman. I don't know if everyone is familiar with what a Walkman is, yes? Great, so it was a thing, and it has exactly this size. And it was so practical. I mean, it's huge. Yeah, so that's what it reminded me of. And then these, whatever it is, corkscrew or whatever, the lady in yellow, I think it's a late 80s design, at least it reminds me of that. And well, the shoes, of course, disco. It's this disco thing that leapt over before pop came, so yeah, well, and this lady made out of whatever, ivory, marble, doesn't speak to me, actually. But I have another interpretation since, and this has also to do with my biography. I'm trained as a dancer in my first professional life, and what I see as a common thing here is, of course, dance. This is so obvious. I mean, you have the music. You have this lady there who's really like, it reminds me of this Bridgerton dance thing, you know? And then... And then we have the disco shoes, and of course this figure that is really like the body is in the center. So that's my... And what I really like here is that it very much resonates with me. What we are all doing is reflect or shows how intrinsic this need and this pleasure of storytelling is in us as human beings. Like, we are also like so happy to make up something, you know, try to find something. Yeah. I think you raised your hand as well.
Thank you. When I see these four objects, I think about what happened in the idea of the person who make this association. So, and in my side, because of the fact that I see many films, yes, thank you. I think that this association reminds me this film about spying. Yeah, and why not? And why not in the middle, Matahari? Because you have dance, you have this woman, you know. And some picture of Matahari seem like this. And you have the radio, you know, the radio in this film of spying is very important because it is not only a radio. It is information, you know, mic, it's many things. And you have these two symbols and of sensuality sometimes, of Matahari, if you want, also, we come back, and of desire, because desire is very important in the film of spying and spy. You know, desire is very important. So, and you have dance also. You know, these Jews, Matahari used to dance in order to catch you, the sensuality and the desire, you know, the charm. So that's why I think that I would like to know what happened in the idea of the person who made this association.
Thank you. I think I was here.
The shoes took me straight to Tina Turner. Yeah.
Good. So we already know the playlist that is played.
Now I'm thinking about the pair. I thought about the pair fact that there are two shoes, and then I also came up with a story, which now was a story of time and traveling from object pocket radio, to object yellow, to roses, to shoes, and it was also a story of isolation and breaking out of isolation in some form. I don't know exactly why, but also when it already started earlier when you mentioned the broadcasting as well. So the radio as maybe a reflection also that one is isolated, and then once the awareness is there that you're isolated, you notice your environment more, right? And the object, everyone here agreed that it's a household object, and so I was like, okay, from isolation to the safe, like the known space that I've moved in before, whoever or whatever, the isolation happened in. And then the roses, now this image, it's an uncomfortable, someone said it before that it's like an uncomfortable, it looks uncomfortable, it looks tense, but now it also, for me, looks very empowering because growth is never comfortable, never, no matter if it's about your muscles, if you're trying to learn a new skill, if you're, doing some healing on a spiritual level, it's never comfortable. So from that, breaking out, growing, also the roses, plants, they're a symbol of growth as well. Care, roses especially, and out of that into this shiny object which is not isolated, which is a pair. So, yeah. Full circle. Yeah, that's the story. And
thank you.
Thank you. Two thoughts. The one is more like a fragment of thoughts, because I thought like, okay, in the practice of curating and making an exhibition, you think of a parcours, how do people walk around, and then the positioning is actually very intentional. So, and I was like, why is the shoe a bit behind? Why is if you see the, one moment, Ophelia, no? When you look in the yellow dress and the woman in the rose bush, why are they like not exactly on the same line, but more like shifted? And then I'm like, okay, now if I look in pairs or if they start to have a conversation with each other, it's like the woman in her rose bush with the hair actually like in the face all the time, she's much more closer to the radio. The second shoe closer to the yellow dress, and I'm like, it cannot be just a coincidence. Like, probably the person who put it there thought about this, because if not, I'm like, why would you give us such a riddle? Like, what is happening? And then the other one, I thought, because everything is like also, as a designer, of course, you look at you have the perspective of design, and every element is representing a certain phase in design, or design theory, you know those, Bauhaus, Romanticism, blah, blah. And then I thought and then I stumbled again with the woman, I don't even know why I'm saying a woman, it's the yellow dress thing, kind of household thing. I just took over this narrative, but then I was like, why cannot this? First of all, why do we all assume that this is a household element? Because I don't have this at home. Does someone of you have something like this at home? I would just like to guess. So it's interesting that we seem to have like a common. Training, not like a training that give us like this common not knowledge, like perception that this has to be like a household thing, and that's also very interesting. Where do we learn those things, and how do we do this, right? I was just like guessing that this. What if this has nothing to do with a household, but it's just because it's an artist piece. And not even like a design piece, for example, like the Bauhaus thing. Maybe it's something to repair a car, I'm just saying. who's telling me that this has to be feminine, like in this sense? Like, why do we all think about this? And I'm also thinking, like, if this is a household thing, like, who do we expect to have this in a household? And I'm like, wow, this is crazy how fast this goes, because I did, in the beginning, like, I did not even recognize this woman of thing kind of dress. I was very focused on the shoes and the radio. And then when everyone was talking, I just took over the notion, this has to be a woman, discomfort, or this design, probably the 60s, and so on. Why? So the socialization of this, which happened very quickly in this room, is very, very interesting to me. And just the one thought I had for the woman, the rosebush, because I also see the discomfort, actually. But I also see that because I did not even think about the rosebush in the sense of like, it must be very uncomfortable to be in a rosebush laying like this. Naked, yeah. But my first thought was actually her hair, because like really, when you have a lot of hair, it can be really, really annoying. So that was actually my first thought, like, the artist really thought about this specific moment when she's like putting her hair beside. So I also thought like interesting in this constellation. Sorry, talking a lot. The next person.
I would like to say something about the shoes, and then I will also reveal something about them. Not all the objects, but we are going to reveal them now, like step by step. And since I'm also here responsible for fashion in the house, and that means I'm also creating fashion exhibitions, which I like and don't like at the same time, because fashion in a museum displayed on mannequins or like always like strips them of the performative aspect, which is like crucial and essential to fashion, because fashion is not only the fabric and the material or the cut, it's also about how it's worn, where, who wears it, in what context, what happens, how do you feel, does your body, the feeling in your body change, like all these aspects. And a lot of you said things about the shoes, like, yeah, they like maybe they reflect when they're worn, or have like party and dancing associations. So this is like a very important aspect of the shoe. And now it's here in the vitrine. Dead in a way, and with that specific shoe, which is designed by Maison Martin Margiela. So also the guess, like time-wise, was quite right that you had, and you can still buy them, I think. So also saw some on Vestiaire Collectif. So they are not that expensive, but they are really usually they look very worn, and which is an essential part of the shoe, because when you wear them they will get cracks and this I don't know, like this material, the lack, no, what's these are leather shoes, but they have like this polish on top. It will like very easily wear off, which is like an essential part. It's like the idea of the designer, that you see the usage marks of the shoe very, very quickly. So this is this weird contradiction of the shoe that has like in this design idea is like inherent, that it is worn, and that it also really looks worn and reflects and doesn't reflect anymore. And now we have the shoe in a museum collection, in a vitrine, and nothing happens to it. So all these very important part of the shoe is missing. And of course, this also applies in certain parts to all the objects that are in the vitrine, and then again show like a very fundamental problem museums face with, that especially those who collect items that are actually made to be worn, to be used. So then you have like the objects. And then again, maybe it is also the task of a curator to find ways to make the objects alive again in a way. Yeah, I do not. I'm not responsible for the exact curation of the objects in the vitrine, but I was of course part of the selection of the objects, and I could talk about them for longer. I just said I can write a whole book about it because there's so many aspects to it, and I don't know. Maybe we had like you revealed the Dieter Rams radio earlier. I could talk about all the Bauhaus and idea of like functionalism and what it is about and what's also like very problematic to it, and this idea about how form and function and materiality come together, like in very shortly broken down, which is also an idea about modernity and the idea of also stripping objects of their, you can say like of their spirituality or of their ornamentic nonsense, as Adolf Loos would probably say it, so that a good design is one that is like really reduced to its function. And today we know this is somehow not true, and someone asked about the soul of the objects, and I think like as Adam also said, that this specific radio is kind of like the inspiration for Apple products, iPhones, which are like very clean and seem to be like super functional, and like all the designy nice people use the products, and like it's kind of like that if the spirituality kind of shifted into something else when you enter like an Apple store, it's kind of like a church where you have like all these nice shiny Apple products, and everybody's like, oh my god, it's like the new iPhone and it's so fantastic. So this you can't always get this spiritual element out of it. And so should I just go on, or does anyone even talk about the other?
What I wanted to say is about that yellow thing. Everyone sees it as a household thing. I don't. I see it more as a rewarding thing, something that you give a reward out for it. So, and for me, all these four objects is like a circle of time. You start with the lady, you go to the radio. The lady is by the beginning of 1900, something like that. The radio is the 60s. The rewarding thing comes by 70s, 80s, and the shoes goes up to today. So it is what I'm seeing. This is what I want to share.
Since we are coming to an end, I will reveal everything about the other objects, but...
Yeah, very, very quickly, I try to make it quick. Back to the shoes again, and what we just heard about them, which is also the shiny silver, the silver color, being a child of the 60s. Most people aren't. The most striking thing that happened in the 60s was this supposedly, we're discussing whether it happened or not. Anyway, in those days we all believed it happened, landing on the moon. And a French fashion designer, Courrèges, who took it all up with all the silver stuff and all the very big, also clear forms. And that is sort of, for me, coming to the end of a cycle, because Courrèges used the expression empendre, which was the print of the footprint of the first astronaut landing on the moon. And this could be the next step.
Thank you. Okay, over here. No? Oh. Okay, it's time to reveal.
Okay. The objects got chosen by Marit, and yeah, the object got chosen by Marit. I got a list from her. we were thinking about what we're going to show tonight. And during the day, during the think tank, we had the 3 themes: the sacrifice, the material, and the gender. So, and we have 3 lists with objects we put to them. And I picked out the radio for the, like Marit explained, for the sacrifice, or not spirituality, because I thought, because it's Rahms, and most of the men who come to our house, to the museum, they fall on their knees when they see Rahms. They fall on their knees, they start praying when they see Rahms. When they see the radio, because the designer of this radio is it's a holy person, because he's kind of, for some people, for the American, for the Chinese who come here, and they just come to see our small section where we have models from Rahms. And we are somehow famous. This house is famous because we have the whole model collection. You don't fall on your knees? So, and the ivory work in silver, the woman, it's ivory, and it's from 1900, and it's a lamp, missing the light bulbs.
You were right.
Yeah, it's a lamp. It never got wired, but there are a few examples of them on the world, and it was made in Belgium, and it's a production from 2 persons, one sculptors, designer, and one technique person, and they developed that, and it shows how proud they were, like how they can be able to form material and to use it for the newest technology, because 1900s electricity was something very new. It's spectacular, and it was so worthy that they had to surround it with very worse material, with their artificial material. So this belongs to the theme material we had today, and during our session I wanted to introduce that one as like the closer look from the conservator, what I see, and the shoes somehow contributed to you when you talk about shoe and shoe light, and we saw this is also a material thing. You have the shoes, and what Marit told us, that there are no traces of use, so there's something missing, and this shining. And when I look at these shoes, the first thing I thought, oh, if I'm going to wear them, you're going to see it immediately. And like you told, you loved your new shoes. Sometimes you want to have new shoes, and you don't really like the use look. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, but it's kind of a fetish too, right? And those shoes, you have no chance. You wear them once, and that's it. And they are so expensive and so extra, and should I wear them or should I not? What should I do with these shoes, right? They're so, and the yellow thing is an household part. It's a pepper mill, and it belongs... and it belongs to a collection from Alessi. And Alessi. And it's called Anna Pepper. It even has this title. And there's a whole series. Yeah, it's a whole series. And this was an example for gender. This is what we took for gender. And it was kind of difficult because we didn't want to just take female things, like how we get different things together. So, and the arrangement in the vitrine is by accident. The only thing I did, the Rahms radio had to be straight. This is always. And shoes are walking, right? So you never put them there. But I was in a hurry, and I had to just throw them in. And of course, everyone is facing outside because I was thinking about people walking around and you want to see them. But I'm very surprised and how you see those things and how important it is, the arrangement. And what happened to the thoughts about pieces as soon as they are in a vitrine. You put them somewhere. If they were just on the floor, there would be totally different thoughts about it. And what a museum does to your thoughts, as soon as you enter to the museum, you start reflecting something special to it, and also, this was just an accident. They're just in there. They are in there because I can't go to the depots tonight, bring them back. They are too valuable to leave them open spaced, so they have to be in a vitrine. That's it. That's kind of totally security reasons. But, you don't think about it. And also, like, the radio is not a radio, it's like, what do you say, a humidity measurement? It's like, they are so small, and you don't see them. Never put them in the middle. But it's so, it's enlightening to hear all those thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This has been so special, so interesting. Enlightening, I think, is the word you used. That really fits what we did here. And thank you so much. Thank you for the invitation. And yes, let's keep this kind of formats. Let's try to just, de-hierarchize knowledge, come together in different places. Yes, I really believe in a bright future for this project and everyone coming together. We can't wait to see what you're gonna put into the archives and the narratives and the histories that you will connect to it. And the program's not over, so everyone is invited to join the program for the weekend. Maybe Jeanne or Isabelle, you wanna quickly say what's going on for the rest of this program?
Yeah, it's on Saturday afternoon, 3 p.m. We're gonna have some talks about these three categories: spirituality, materiality, and gendered objects. And we have some artistic interventions. I won't say more, so you're invited to join us.
So with that being said, thank you so much, everyone, for just participating, for sharing your thoughts, your perspectives, also personal stories. That was a really special space we all created for each other. Thank you so much, and hope to see you soon.